Tonight I'd like to share a little something with you about myself, about my life, about my children, about my lovely wife. I call this my journey, my family, my life. Here goes.
It was 38 full years ago when I took to me my wife. I promised then through thick and thin that I was hers for life. Together we were matched in heaven, and it was plain to see. We took our vows not just for life, but for all eternity. When we first met, her hair was red. Down to her knees it flowed. She was the choir mistress, and on a motorcycle she rode. I knew I'd found my soulmate, and together through life we'd fly, until our journey would continue in our hallowed home on high. We were blessed to have 6 children, all of which I do adore. This I must say about my children, I could not ask for more. My eldest, a stepson by birth, carries the name of Lloyd. He grew up with his father, and, well, as for me, he does avoid. For he blames me for his mother's divorce, and of which that just isn't true. But his belief in this is strong, and there's nothing that I can do. My eldest daughter, Eleanor, was always the responsible one. Oftentimes she was left in charge, which for sure, I'm sure was not much fun. My middle daughter, Lindy, was the adventurous little child. Her heart is filled with love and huge, but she was a little wild. My middle son, named after me, was truly a remarkable boy. He has his sister's unending love, and he's his father's pride and joy. And then to us came daughter 3. Cleo Rebecca is her name. She loves to sing and act out parts. I thought she was destined for fame. Our last-born child was Cody Rhodes. He was our shooting star. He lived with us for just one day, then returned to heaven afar. Yes, with my family I've been blessed, from the first moment through today. But my life has not been a total joy. There were bumps along the way. I vowed for better and for worse, in sickness and in health. I vowed to Linda I'd remain true in poverty and wealth. It was shortly after we were wed the subtleties crept in. The sickness part came to my wife, and challenges did begin. Now this you must understand, my wife was highly educated, but when mental illness comes to call, education is overrated. Like the growing of a spring meadow, the change could not be seen, but nonetheless, the cruel effects were crippling and mean. I often came home from my work and asked, "Honey, how was your day?" The stories that my children told were not what Linda would say. And I was loyal to my wife, which often made it tense. For now I know that loyalty was at my children's expense. My wife's view on reality was becoming slightly skewed. What she thought within her mind is what she thought she knew she viewed. I look back now and I was blind to the effects this illness caused. My children's childhood were ripped away, not just slowed down or paused, for I neglected the needs of the next generation as the illness slowly caught hold, and I didn't realize that in my children's eyes, my excuses were getting old. Slowly I became caretaker of my ailing, lovely wife. I worked, I slept, I nursed my love. This had become my life. By now my children had all grown and gone. Not only did they survive, but somehow, even with my shortcomings, they amazingly did thrive. Now Lloyd, he couldn't handle nor understand his mother's state, so he disowned his mother and I and left us to our fate. My Eleanor became the rock, the mortar and the glue, to hold the family together and see this lifelong crisis through. Ricky, he became distant, for it tore his heart to sit and wait, even with a love that could move mountains, to watch his mother deteriorate. Lindy, she watched quietly, from the side, never far and ever near, realizing she couldn't change a thing as they got worse from year to year. Poor Cleo loved her mother dearly, but was angry at the world for what this illness had become, and for a short time her anger was unfurled. By now my Linda had MS and struggled every day, and I was overwhelmed and lost. Yes, I had lost my way. Obsessed with defending Linda, with her altered views on life, I ignored the wise words of my offspring pertaining to my ailing wife. I believe Heavenly Father gives us trials to make us grow, but oftentimes I think the wisdom is for God Himself to know, until we pass straight through the fire with the end of the trial at hand. Then God opens our hearts and minds, and to our will we'll understand. The understanding came to me this year, a little day by day, starting on January 7th, when my Linda passed away. I was so lost my love had died, and I felt all alone. In my heart, a greater sorrow I had never, ever known. In the solemn weeks to follow, I wallowed in self-strife. So deep was my despair, I contemplated taking my life. Heavenly Father must have realized that I'd finally reached the end, for His grace and understanding to my aching soul did send. I was taught the simple meaning of unconditional love, a love that wrapped around me like a blanket from above. It was a love which had escaped me, a love which I was unaware, a love that never left me, a love that was always there. It was a love I feel I hadn't earned, yet a love that saved my life. I was blessed by unconditional love from the children of my wife. Even though they lost their mother the same day I lost my best friend, they had wrapped their love around me with a love that knows no end. I didn't know that I was drowning in the depths of great despair, but like a floating life preserver, their love was always there. And now that I've been rescued from the darkness within my soul, I've been blessed to see that my children are the ones who, in the end, have made me whole. They've opened my eyes to realize that their love will leave me never, for together we are family, and families are forever.